Should I have him sign it when you talk? Let's second now.
7 o'clock.
I'm going to call the meeting to order. Stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We roll call. Bill.
Here.
Cassie.
Here.
Jody.
Yeah.
Troy.
He will be late, I believe. He's up at a special city council meeting. It's over.
And Gary.
He is Cafe Cow right now. So.
Linda.
Here.
Has everybody had a chance to look over the agenda from last month? Or the agenda? Can I get a motion to approve the agenda as written?
I'll move.
Can I get a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Everybody get a chance to look at the minutes from last month.
I'd make a motion to approve the minutes.
Can I get a second?
Second.
All in favor? Ordinance discussions. Wind energy facility amendments. What do we want to look at first?
Do you want to take them one at a time?
Yeah, well, because they're both very specific in what they do we want to discuss them together? Do we want to discuss them separately?
I would suggest discussing them separately.
So we want to start with the cap or the 1 mile setback?
Let's just start with the 1 mile setback.
Aren't we actually discussing things that we should not be talking about?
What's that?
This.
What do you mean?
Commissioners already approved stuff. We're gonna put ourselves in a lawsuit.
For what?
You tried talking about changing the rules.
Which rules are you specifically talking about?
Well, the caps,
Right.
mm-hmm.
What about it?
You're changing the rules.
That's an amendment to the...
Right, this is
Yeah.
this is an amendment to
Right.
the original ordinance.
Right.
Right.
You're gonna put us in a lawsuit.
Well, that's why we have it for discussion. So I just want everybody to know that all of these amendments that have been submitted, I did get them put on paper, but these amendments were drawn up at the request of the portfolio holder.
And who is that?
That's Dave Berger.
Okay.
So, I mean, he's attended multiple meetings. He has spoke up multiple times about different things that we need to address. And I actually worked with him via email, text, and phone calls and got these amendments put together.
Is Dave here tonight?
I don't think so. So these are matters and things that have been brought to his attention and requests that have been made to him and me by landowners. So they got put together and brought in front of planning and zoning to discuss.
Yeah, I won't approve of it.
That's fine. That's,
My apologies, I had a city council special meeting, so sorry for being tardy. Detention? Can I go do it now? Yeah. Can I go to the principal's office now?
I think these amendments are not a good idea. We have a couple of companies that have been developing projects for several years already under the rules that were in place at the time, and now to change the rules in the middle of the game, I don't think that's a good idea.
Anybody else? Again, these are just submissions for the board to discuss and for the public to have comment on. I understand a lot of people don't agree with them. Again, I am just doing the work that I was asked to do, being appointed to this board. I got appointed to the board. You guys nominated me to be the chairman. I'm presenting the material and doing the work to get the information on paper and presented to the board for discussion.
Somebody over here.
If we're going to do public speaking, we are going to be limited to the 3 minutes. And if you're going to come up and speak, we're going to have to sign in on a sign-in sheet up here so that we can have record for public record. And obviously, both of these amendments are somewhat conflicting, because if we were to get a cap, we wouldn't need to change the setback. So I think what would be realistic would be to take into consideration at least the 1 mile setback. And if any entity, organization, or company has been working to get something in place and has a project that's currently in progress, they should be able to go to any landowners that may be within this 1 mile to sign a waiver. I mean, that would be entirely up to the landowner and the wind energy company. I mean, I just think that would be fair. The cap was suggested due to all of the ongoing continuous road problems and things like that. I don't think anybody's trying to specifically dictate or be the singular savior of the county. We're just trying to get everybody that has skin in the game to have something to say. If you're affected by it, whether it's positive or negative, you have something to say. Nobody's trying to stop anybody from, making money off of their land, but it should be done in a controlled, organized way to where it doesn't affect anybody else. I mean, that's been the conversations. That's what's led up to these amendments being presented. I think it would be fair for everybody to take them into consideration, look them over, and give constructive feedback on them.
Another thing I'll say, I don't think it's any secret that the county is in a bind for money. The school district, every government entity has their hand out looking for dollars. I think we ought to be open to.
And is a county deficit spending?
Deficit spending, the proposed budget estimated and expenditures shows a deficit, but what is actually spent and brought in is not nearly as much as what is being proposed, at least for 2025. I can't speak for 26 because we're in the middle of the year. That's not possible to say we're in a deficit because we're only in March.
Have we been in a deficit in previous years?
Depending on the fund, there have been some deficits, but overall, I would say the county's not in, I'd have to go look back at this last several years to be sure. There have been funds where we've had to transfer money into at the end of the year because they are above their spending limit.
And I think everybody's somewhat familiar with the financial situation with the county. And I agree, but that is something that should be discussed and tried to be worked on also, not just continually try to invite more industry in hoping to fill the gap. I mean, does anybody ever sit down and try to negotiate anything with any of the industries that are already here, and how different structures or different ideas can maybe create some growth somewhere, or, you know, work on the economics of the county rather than just open the doors, I guess. And again, I'm not against any specific industry as long as it's done in, you know, a considerate way to where, you know, it's not having a negative impact on anybody's lifestyle or, you know, daily life. But it seems there should be fairness to it.
These are ways to better our community, though, on the same aspect. They are industries wanting to come to build our infrastructure. I agree that the people need to be protected. But again, why are we writing an ordinance as a planning and zoning committee when the last meeting, it went to state's attorneys? It went to lawyers.
This was already written up before that happened last.
I understand that, but if we do all this work again, and it goes to the state's attorneys or to the legal, and we start all over.
I did speak with Patrick about these particular amendments. He said he believes the county can adopt the language concerning either or, not both.
Right.
But as has been discussed at the last several meetings, the board and the county commission have to have reasons to demonstrate why it is in the best interest of the county to do so. So if there are reasons to adopt or not to, once a motion is made, we have to have those reasons.
My opinion is, you know, we're in a unique situation in Oliver County. You look at Mercer, McLean, any other county, there's multiple towns, there's businesses, they're growing. We got Center. We got a 3% cap on property taxes. We can't raise mills, we can't get more money through the government because of the caps. And we're restricted. You know, what is there? A handful of businesses in town that are trying to feed all of it. And I think for the whole better of the community, we have to keep looking forward to some of these projects, or Center and Oliver County are going to go away. We can't afford the products, our, you know, your special programs, you know, your food banks, your elderly, the school. Look at the school. It's in tough shape. You know, they're in a deficit, I think a deficit spending situation also. You know, we lose a school, that's more families move away. I mean, I'm not telling anybody that they got to live beside it, they got to put up with it, or we're going to force it down your throat. But we need to be open-minded and objective to what's going on, because Oliver County's in trouble. And you talk to commissioners, I sit in the city council. We're starting our budget, and our budget don't look good. We're not there. So what goes first? Pretty soon your benefits, pretty soon your employees are gone. You know, pretty soon the county's up for, God forbid, bankruptcy. You know, that's the next step. Well, I don't want to see it go away. I don't. You know, born and raised here too, live my life here. And I feel for the people beside them. You know, I grew up beside the first set of wind towers that come into Oliver County. They weren't on our land. They were less than a half mile from the farm. They were right across the fence. And every day you listened to them and you watched them, and you eventually realize that, you know, it's coming. And if it ain't here, it's going to the neighbors or the next place, and they're going to benefit. And the people, I think, that have an opportunity have the right to opportunity to benefit some. You know, but I'm open for suggestions. If somebody knows how to build business or bring more money and more revenue into Oliver County, man, bring it to the planning and zoning.
Yeah,
Let's
I
get some
agree.
permits. But these people aren't gonna wait. They're gonna jump and they're gonna go. I mean, there's another county, it's already said, bring your data, you dump it, we'll take it. We already got land set aside. We'll move forward. You know, the wind farms too. I mean, it's tough to see, but that's my opinion. That's, you know, I work in an industry also. I put up with it every day too, on the industrial side. But, I mean, where do we go from here? How do we keep Center and Oliver County afloat? We can't expect BNI and Dakota Power to carry all the bills. They donate a lot. They do a lot for the community. But they can't carry all of it. And the roads, the school, everything. So, that's just a personal opinion, and I'll take any comment. I mean, I'm open to any kind of help.
I think we all are.
Yeah, I mean,
And again,
we're in
I'm
a
not
tough
trying to-
position here, guys.
Not trying to stop anybody.
No, and we're in a tough spot being in this board. You know, and I mean, I look at you guys, and I know it hurts to think that land could go or this could move. But what about when the whole town's gone? Instead of Oliver County, it says Morton County, or it says Mercer County. So, at that, I'll step back. Thank you.
Go ahead.
Kim Dahl. I just want to make one comment. I hear a lot of stuff about the school. The school's going to hell. Think about it. Let's build a new school. Where are we going to find the kids? We don't have a basketball team. We don't have a sports team. Where are we going to find the kids to fill that new school?
Go ahead. You have to fill out the form up here on the pedestal.
I guess my comment would be what the reason for this is. You already have under the county commissioners under a conditional use permit can make conditions. They have to, if a company comes in here and wants to build a wind tower, you have to grant a conditional use permit. So under that before you grant that conditional permit, you don't have to approve that company coming in. So why add additional rules to bottleneck to keep you from doing something down the road? You're just adding more rules that could stop you from letting another company come in. You already have that power under conditional use to set extra guidelines or to change a setback or to deny a conditional use permit. If you see that, let's just say a wind tower wants to come in here, build right by Center or something, and there's enough residents that don't want it in that area, you can, as planning and zoning, you can recommend to the commissioners that don't grant the conditional use. So I think you're really bottlenecking yourself to something that's really not necessary. You're just making more rules. And it could get you in trouble down the road sometime where all of a sudden you have this rule here, no more wind turbines. Well, maybe somewhere down the road someone comes up with a different design on a wind turbine that isn't as evasive. And then all of a sudden what are you gonna do, go back? And the other thing that I would say is that precedent that you're setting by just completing the new ordinances in November, these companies have all followed these ordinances and then changing them when they're about ready to move on to the next step in their development. Where you talk about, well, let's get new businesses in here. We don't think other businesses are gonna look at the fact that, okay, the last business that tried to come in here, you change the rules on them, so what is a new business coming in here, a new industry, there's a precedent set that you guys could change it halfway down the road. I mean, if you want new businesses to come into the county and you're stopping the ones that want to come in now by not even giving them a chance to negotiate or to, if there's a group of landowners that are definitely against it, that's why you have the hearings. They come and talk about that. Well, you know, that's the whole process. So I guess I think we're just doing something in the county that's setting a bad precedent and it's unnecessary. You have that power right now.
Mr. Chair, I received a text from Commissioner Berger. He said he is not in favor of the wind cap, but he is looking at the setback from non-participating residences.
Yep, I had that discussion with him. So, and that's why it's here. It's here for discussion. I understand your point in making that we already have a method that could give that protection, but then it's left up to the vote of a few people. Why not have the protection in there on paper to protect everybody? And if you were willing to sign a waiver for the industry to be closer to your property, that's easily done. I mean, it's a simple form that
Now that you
somebody
have a
could fill out.
cap on the number of turbines.
Well, again, Dave and I have discussed, and originally the cap was brought up when stuff was going bad with the wind energy. That was a discussion that him and I had, and it was drawn up based on that, and then the 1 mile setback. So, I mean, I agree. I'm not saying that we should potentially do the cap, but it's on the table for discussion. I mean, it can very easily get voted down. I mean, yeah, you gotta come up and fill out the form.
He took that piece of paper with him and then made another form.
No one else will talk. Sorry about that. Well, it's there. Jonathan Dagley, as it refers to the wind towers, that's what we're talking about. Correct?
Yeah, the amendment.
I live between the wind towers and the power plant, and I get lots of noise and I know what it's about. As it refers to taxes from my gleanings, as of now, wind turbines do not contribute taxes because they displace power plant taxes. Is that correct?
No. We receive tax dollars. I believe the ones to the north of Center are a direct tax where they pay us directly.
Correct.
And then, yeah, correct me if I'm wrong when I say this, because there's two different ones. And the newer ones, we receive the money from the state, which I believe they pay to the state, but there's a percentage formula. So the
Right.
state gets
I'm
some of
not
it and
saying
we
they
get
don't
some of
pay
it.
taxes. I was just at some of the other meetings.
Mhm.
And what I'm saying is power is power. And my understanding is the power plant has to throttle back when the wind is blowing. So you lose tax dollars from the power plant because the wind towers are going. So it's a trade-off. It's just my perception of other meetings I've been at.
It's-
So that's just what has been presented to me by this.
That's the way it's been presented
It's
to me
being
too.
studied. There is a study happening currently, I believe, with the EERC to see what the relation is to coal power plants and other types of generation and how that affects the coal conversion and severance dollars.
Right. So, but anyways, I think that the 1 mile setback is a better way personally. Because I do not get a dollar from the wind farm, but it's right in front of my house. It's the southern exposure. I have to look at that thing every single day. And when the weather is the nicest, that is when you hear them the loudest. Those days you die for, that is when you hear those things just humming. Same with the power plant. The mornings that are the most beautiful, that's when the Caterpillar tracks sound like they're in your backyard. Okay? That being aside, I've lived with it. But I think it's important because you need to not pick winners and losers as it comes to a wind farm. Because I live with the roads torn up every day. Those guys come out, rain or shine, they drag all that out there. They're pulling wind turbines down. Every year, they pull several of them down. 2 years after they put it in, they're pulling wind turbines down. And you cannot tell me that the economic impact is not really high. And they tear up 15 acres of pasture or field or whatever every time they go in there. They don't care if it's 3 inches of rain. They rip it up. My roads have not gotten any better. from the wind farms. And what the 1 mile setback would do would give people more bargaining power. If it's a good deal, fine, but spread out the benefit over the people that are affected by it. Not just this person or that person. That's what I think would be a better way as it relates to this. Because, and I'll apply the same motive to the data center. We cannot pick winners and losers. That's why you get people that are really ticked off and mad. Okay? You have to be able to spread out that benefit to everybody. Otherwise, it's a bad deal. Why do you think? Of course, the people, when you come in and a guy offers you 10 times the going rate for land, you can go buy any place you want. But the people who don't get a dollar, they're stuck with it and they have to live with it. So I'm middle of the road, slightly leaning away, but you have to figure out how to spread out that benefit and not pick winners and losers in these deals. Otherwise, we are going to be absolutely against it. That's my opinion.
Thank you. Anybody else?
Maybe. See if I can get out of here.
Yeah, I want everybody to know I'm not trying to be the guy to pick winners or losers. I'm just trying to give everybody the fair opportunity to bid your piece.
Well, I understand that. That's why
Yep.
I think the setback is a better way, because it gives that person bargaining power.
Yep.
They can at least get some compensation for signing off or whatever.
It's his turn now.
Ryan Fleck. I'm in a little bit of a unique situation for the fact that I have 3 wind towers with Minnesota Power. Minnesota Power came in here and yeah, they did set it up to where somebody wins, somebody loses. The person with the tower gets the money. I am signed up for options with NextEra. One thing they're doing to benefit a lot of people is the fact that they're offering an acreage payment versus the wind tower payment. And personally, that helps me survive as a small place and to be able to survive, pass it on to my family, help my father retire. And it's kind of a benefit to small guys and to some of the big guys too. It's a steady income without having to work an off-farm job. Thanks.
Chris Albers. To me, I don't think we want to take tools out of our toolbox as a county, whether that's wind farms, data centers, battery storage, whatever else is coming down the line. Does anybody want them in their backyard like Troy put up with? No, nobody wants that. But to put a cap on it, I think is completely wrong. Like Dan said, you're shying business away. You're president of Hobbs down in Mandan, correct? So does Mandan or the county kind of rule your world out there then, since you're out on the highway?
Just for the property? County.
So if Morton County would come in and say, no more credit cards anymore because we don't like that we're giving away an extra 3 or 4% to the credit card vendors, Visa, MasterCard, whoever, would that put a dent in your business?
You talking taking credit cards at my business?
Yep, you could not have credit cards anymore. If they come in and say, you can't have credit cards anymore, that would hurt, right?
Honestly, I run about $1,300 in credit cards a month.
Okay, so now let's say that you can't let's say they're gonna say, no out-of-state business, can only be in-state, and has to be cash, they have to come to your door, you can't even drop ship it anymore. If they keep on adding restrictions, that would hurt, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so from my point of view, with all of these amendments and all this, we're doing the same thing as just choking our county. And I get your point where's Jonathan at? there we go, that you don't get any money personally, but the county is getting money to fund the road department, keeping the ambulance running, keeping several other services running there. So I get it that not everybody is going to get money out of this, but we need to bring money into the county to keep things running here.
Yeah. Thank you.
Marlo Buckert, sorry, I was writing my address, just following instructions. I presented before, and I've had more than year-long back and forth conversation with NextEra. I'm a landowner adjacent to the Oliver 4 Wind project, and I think I resonate very much with a lot of Jonathan's comments. My turn of phrase, instead of spread out the benefit, what I would call for you to recognize is industries of this scale and magnitude on one person's property impact the adjacent properties. So it's not necessarily a question of, well, where does the benefit get spread? It's a question of that's a cost being borne by the people who are nearest to that project. And consequently, I think a protection of setback requirements gives those landowners standing to say that company has to come and negotiate. Because if you're outside the perimeter currently, you have no say. The company comes, does what it wants, and you are the one that bears the cost long term. The county may benefit in some ways, but your property right there, that's where that cost is borne. Whether or not the wind tower cap goes through, I would at least espouse a greater setback requirement so that county residents have some teeth when these companies come and try and shove their way around, as my experience with NextEra has been. Thank you.
Thank you.
I guess what I'd like to say, I keep referring back to what Matt spoke about at the one meeting. We have more wind towers in Oliver County than any other county. Am I correct on that?
Yep.
Yeah, we have no money. I don't understand. You're saying we need to have more wind, more data centers, more things to give our county money, but we right now have more wind towers than any other county, and we're not reaping the benefits of that. So that's the thing that scares me. It's like, what are we willing to sacrifice as a community, as a county, our farms, our towns, in order to keep grabbing at straws? Something's wrong. Whether it's been something that was in planning prior that just was overlooked, either that or they're not telling us the truth when they're saying that they're bringing all these benefits and jobs to our county. So I guess that's basically what I want to say, is we really have to think about what those promises are, and are they true, or are they just promises?
Thank you.
I would encourage you to read North Dakota Century Code if you want to know where your tax money goes, because a lot of it goes to the state.
Jaden, thanks for sending that spreadsheet. Why can't we have it printed and put out here?
Out here?
Yeah.
Because it's not a part of the agenda. Agenda items are on the table, but I mean, I can make it readily available. I thought I posted it online for everybody, but I can double check.
Everybody should see it.
Which one is that?
That's the spread of money that comes in from
Wind towers and
coal,
everything.
well, BNI.
Everybody needs to
All the
look at this.
Property tax.
Okay, and you add all this up, right? And this does not include the new Hanover one yet.
No, because this is $24 received in 25, Anything from last year comes in this year. We haven't received any of that yet.
Could you share what you found was surprising?
I'll probably get in trouble. I was surprised at what Minn Kota and B&I pay. It isn't all that much.
Does the tipple tax affect that?
Coal severance.
They would have to answer
Well,
that.
that is purely property taxes. Laura and I didn't run anything as far as like the coal conversion, coal severance. That's not included in there. That's a different type of income. This is just property tax or in lieu of property tax.
I would just like to say that I'm in favor of the 1 mile setback. You know, it gives us, people that don't want the wind towers, don't want to deal with them. But it's just like a city ordinance that has a noise ordinance. They don't want to listen to somebody else's noise. So I would be very in favor of having a 1 mile setback. Thank you.
Thank you.
I will say, if you look around, like I'm in that one that's being planned by NextEra, if I look at my property, there's not very many places you could put a wind turbine with a 1 mile setback.
But you have neighbors that signed on, Bill.
I do, yes.
Yeah, so it doesn't affect that. I mean, it doesn't affect them because
But not everybody signed on.
Yeah.
I mean, there's, I'm in the area. I signed on, but when I look around at neighbors that did not sign on, it's gonna whittle it down to where it just isn't feasible to build a wind farm.
You don't think they could set them closer on your land instead of one here and one over there? Look how many acres they covered,
That I don't know.
Yeah.
You'd have to ask
If they had to
NextEra's
move one
engineers.
tower back, you don't think they would find room on your property to put that one extra tower so it's not within the boundary?
I'm just saying, I look at my land and where neighbors are that didn't sign on, it doesn't leave that much that qualifies. Where you could put, you could probably put some turbines on there, but not very many.
He's up here.
Michael Dahl. There's obviously a lot of emotion. The county's in a deficit, that's a fact. Some people think the wind towers bring money. Some people think the wind towers take money away from the power plant. How come there are no factual numbers on financials? Nobody can offer how much money that B&I can contribute. Nobody has a factual how much each wind tower brings in. What I'm seeing is we have 200 and whatever wind towers in the county, and our deficit is growing. Well, these wind towers come in one summer, they hammer the roads, that's a fact, and we as a county are left to pick up the roads maintenance for years to come. So why are there no numbers? Rather than just basing everything off of emotion that I need a wind tower to survive, I don't want to listen to it. I understand that the community's hurting, but if it's detrimental long term, it's foolish. Somebody made the comment about there's a handful of businesses in Oliver County that are floating the tax base. Well, can't you get up a few more wind towers? And if you're going to allow them to proceed building wind towers, can't you tighten the regulations on the roads? Re-graveling a road costs a fortune, right? Finding good gravel costs a fortune. Maybe those are some ideas for you guys. If we're not in a positive right now with the amount of wind towers that we have, how many wind towers is it going to take to put Oliver County back in the green? Again, for what it's worth, I am strongly in favor of the 1 mile setback.
Thank you. And as far as the roads goes, that's covered by the road use agreement, and that's an actual contract that has to be negotiated and signed as part of the permitting process. So planning and zoning doesn't do anything with the road use agreement. That's between commission and the attorney and the company applying for the permit, unfortunately.
Needs to be tightened.
Yeah, that's gonna be a commission meeting thing that's gonna have to be brought up.
I can guarantee you the roads have not improved.
No, I believe you. I've got pictures and videos of them. Dave Berger has sent me a lot of pictures and videos of these roads and, you know, the erosion from the rain and videos. So, I mean, I've seen it, and that's why, you know, a lot of the amendments that, you know, we'd worked on last year even got started was because of the gaps in ordinances or gaps in the road use agreement. Same thing with the setback change. You know, there's getting too close to people that aren't a part of the project, and enough people have spoken up that it's trying to be addressed and be fair. So if we have a 1 mile setback and you don't care if it's a half a mile, you sign a waiver with the builder and you're fine. If you don't, they can't build it that close, then you're protected, rather than waiting for every time a permit comes in, hoping that the board gives you that protection when they vote to approve a permit. It's on paper already.
I would like to piggyback on the road comment since you just made that. I would think, and I know for a fact, as you talk about seeing pictures, there's a lot of them within that previous project that was just done. There's a lot of things that still need to be completed. Whether it's road maintenance, land maintenance, there's a lot of stuff that still needs to be brought to the attention. But that is not why I stood up here. Is there a happy medium with a setback? Because I was within a project, and it took them 8 years to figure out that I was a non-participating landowner, but was listed as participating in all of their documents. So I don't know, is there a happy medium that could be agreed upon, or is that something that can be written into a conditional use permit? Because it should not take a company 8 years to figure out that you're not within a project area, but you're listed as participating and all those kinds of things. So I don't know, that's my question.
It's a good question. I think with the GPS nowadays that it'd be easier to find that line.
Unless GPS takes you that way and you're supposed to go out.
Well, I'm talking about just like
Yeah.
the ex-hunting one, you know, it's not giving you roads. Yeah.
I guess I'd just like to make a comment that this setback amendment is only for non-participating occupied dwellings, not a 1 mile setback from
Your property
everything.
line. Right.
It's
Yep.
just non-participating. So when you say 1 mile setback and that's what you say, I hope there's not confusion thinking it's 1 mile from everything.
Right.
And there's a stipulation to what they consider occupied dwelling too, right? X amount of time and.
There's a definition of occupied
Yeah.
dwelling.
Greg Meyer, I'm a resident of Oliver County in the southwest part of the county. Excuse me. I've been involved since 2008 with windmill contracts. I've had contracts when Nick Starr first came in the area. When they left, I also had a contract with Minnesota Power. Through those contracts, I never gained a windmill. Right now, I have 8 windmills within a mile, over a half mile, and less than a mile of my yard. Right now, I'm in a contract with Nextera. I have opportunity to get some windmills. I've lived with them for the last 10 or 15 years. I guess people can look at them as they like. It's something you learn to live with. I'm also a member or a board member of the New Salem Fire District and the New Salem Ambulance. Now, I'm not speaking for Oliver County. I'm speaking from the money that we get in that district, New Salem Fire District and New Salem Ambulance District. New Salem Ambulance District, from windmills that are in our area, we gain $24,000. The fire department also gains $12,000. Now, I don't know what it is in the Center Fire District, how much they get. It's not a great sum of money, but it is a sum of money that is garnered through these wind farms. Like I said, I have an opportunity to get some now. If this cap is put on, I do not. So whatever gains comes to the school or the school district or the ambulance, whatever tax money is generated is a benefit to the county and those entities. So my feeling is to go forward and not put a cap on this. It's just my feeling, and that's all I have to say, really.
Thank you.
That's great.
Anyone else? Anyone on the board have any more comment about it?
Matt, just one quick question. How long do the wind towers pay taxes to the county? Is it their 20-year life?
I don't know anything about the financial side of it. I am only
Does
in
anybody-
the planning and zoning aspect. When it comes to the finances, that
Yeah.
would be
I was wondering
somewhere else in the courthouse.
If somebody ran across that.
I've tried to look it up, but most of the numbers, like, I don't know, like Jody had mentioned, there was the red book that talked about some of the financial stuff.
blue book.
The blue book. The only blue book I could find, I think, was from 24. So I mean, it's that type of documentation to where by the time it gets public, it's already been some time. So it's hard to pinpoint what happened in 25 at this point.
Hard
I
to
don't know.
discuss it if nobody knows what the figures are.
Right.
Early on in this conversation, it was brought up that perhaps we shouldn't have amendments since they've already been here, like it wouldn't be fair to be changing this, and I disagree with that. We didn't know what it was like to have a wind farm before it was here. And so I think we have learned some things. We've seen neighbors not speak to neighbors anymore. We've seen a lot of people hurting. We've seen a lot of people benefit greatly, and I do not, I say great for those people that are benefiting greatly from this. I don't begrudge that of you. I take a lot of weight in what the scripture says, and it says that we are to love our neighbors as ourselves. And I think that a 1 mile setback would be a really good way to love our neighbors.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Just because I don't know that much, but are any of the council part of this wind farm that's proposed that would possibly be in jeopardy?
What do you mean?
Are any of the council
Anybody on the
on the
board?
board going to benefit from this wind farm?
Conflict of interest?
Yes.
I believe so, and that's going to get brought up before we vote, as it's in the new bylaws. That if somebody has a conflict of interest, that they recuse themselves from voting. Anyone else?
When are you proposing to vote on these?
They have to go through the proper process.
Yeah, we have to do the
be
2-week
noticed,
notice,
public
and then
hearing.
it'll come back for a public hearing, and then it'll get voted on. These are just discussions about them right now. So basically, moving forward, we get a lot of input on the 1 mile. That's the one that would go to public reading.
So we will not be voting tonight? Is that what you're saying?
We can't
No,
vote.
we can't. It's got to go to
It
through
has
the
to be
legal
noticed
process. It has to go out in the
properly and an actual
paper.
public hearing being
Right.
held.
So this is just a discussion about the contents of it and that they exist, because we really didn't get to it last month.
Yeah.
It was brought up and everybody's seen them, but we weren't able to read and go through them.
Okay.
So these amendments just got done like last November, right?
These amendments?
Or this wind ordinance, you just wrote it like last November, right?
I think that may have been when it got voted through, yeah.
So what are we, 6 months out, and you really wanna change it?
Well,
Why didn't we do it right away?
Well, that's a good question. I only participated and did what I was asked to do. It obviously probably wasn't brought up last year when the process was taking place.
Just a waste of time, I think.
Any other discussion? Anybody want to come up to the podium and make a comment? If not, we're going to move on to the McLean County Ordinance Edition.
Doing anything with them?
Yeah,
Or we're just pushing it down to another meeting?
Yeah, I guess that's going to be the question. Do we want to put wind 1 mile setback?
I just want to say on record, Sarah Montone, Next Sarah Energy, that a 1 mile setback would indeed kill the project for the landowners who have been part of the Red Butte Wind Project, which is the next phase. Next Sarah's been in the county 20 years. We've developed a couple projects, as most in the room know, and a 1 mile setback would definitely remove the right of those landowners to have that income or benefit from the project, and the county tax dollars would also go away. So just putting that, getting on record to say that. Thank you.
It shouldn't kill it. It should just make them have to talk to the people that are in non-participating dwellings.
Is it needs to renegotiate how they pay out.
Oh, it doesn't? Okay.
So, my family was I'm Brianna Scheid. My family was part of the Oliver Ford project, and it was a nightmare. You talk about precedence. The precedence was set there with how the company handled that project and the issues that are still outstanding and not being taken care of. At the Red Butte Energy landowner meeting the other night, she said that there would only be 17 towers that would need to be kicked out if a 1 mile setback was put in place. So I don't understand why the information is different tonight. Furthermore, I'm pretty sure that, like what was just said, they could go back and renegotiate. They just don't want to. It's scare tactics and fear mongering. But yet you refuse to listen to the people that were part of the project and the reason that these proposed amendments came forth in the first place.
Thank you.
I guess I just have an odd question is I realize there's this big uproar about this Red Butte Wind project now, but was there this much pushback when Minnesota Power came into Oliver County?
I wasn't on the board, I don't know.
I'm just curious. I'm just asking, that's all.
Yeah,
Lived and we learned.
Okay, then why did you, was it allowed to continue with the first Oliver Ford project? I'm just asking. I'm not trying to say yay or no. I'm just, it's not like this is the first project that was done in the county. Minnesota Power was the first one that came into the county and built the project.
Did they get sloppier and sloppier over the years? I don't know.
Different company and
Different subcontractors?
I believe Florida Power was the first one.
Right, which is now
And then Florida Power tried to go to Hanover. A lot of people signed with Florida Power.
Okay.
Then Coda came, or the next project came like a week later, pushed it down to New Salem, south of New Salem, so it got kicked out of that area. The same people that are in the project right now is that same project that got kicked south. Same farmers that were supposed to get it.
I was contacted 3 weeks or 2 weeks after Florida Power at that time. I was contacted 2 to 3 weeks later by Minnesota.
And we probably need to apologize because we're the one that signed with Florida Power. And so then everybody signed with Florida Power because they knew we signed. And so we made all the landowners not get those towers. So we apologize because they didn't allow Florida Power to use those transmission lines. So that project got killed.
I was just asking.
No, I know, but I mean, there's
Yeah.
a huge history with the people that are supposed to get these from like 2006. The same landowners that are supposed to get towers in the next project.
Right. I understand. I'm right on the edge of it.
And in 2016, what is now Oliver Wind 4 was Red Butte.
Yes,
So
and
they've
it got
just-
split into 2 different projects.
Correct. Okay.
So the group that's supposed to come next has been on the planning block since 2006.
I just want to be on the record for, I don't want to stop them completely. That's why I think a 1 mile setback is much better than cap, in that it gives everybody a more cleaner negotiating path. And that actually, all Lord County residents that get more income will pay more taxes. So by spreading that out, I don't see how, you see what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah,
There will be
100%.
more income going to those other individuals. The company just needs to come up with a, and I honestly think it would benefit their companies. It would get rid of this thorn that are in people's flesh, because it in my view, it picks winners and losers. You've got the person with the key piece of land, and you pay them 3 or 4 times what everybody else gets, and you make them sign a non-disclosure, and you do this, and it's not good for neighbor relations, it's not good for all of it.
I agree.
Hello, Mr. Chairman.
Oh.
Wes Klein. I feel since next year I was able to stand up here, I can too. I'm from Mercer County. I want to explain to you what happened in September with either next year or Basin, and how they treat the landowners around that area. There was a company out of Colorado that came up to lay down instruments for a survey, aerial survey. The sheets of sheetrock were left on the aprons of the road, driven in with large spikes. They were never picked up. This spring, 2 landowners went out and picked them up. In Mercer County, Oliver County, along Highway 31. You have men in tractors mowing those aprons. You also have a lot of farmers sitting in this room that run semis on gravel county roads. If those spikes are shattered and thrown on the road, who is at risk? It's not NextEra. It's not Sarah. It's men and women sitting in this room who conduct an agricultural heritage that become at risk. I had the opportunity to sit down with a gentleman this last week, and he spent time in California. And what was negotiated for a wind, there is no such thing as a wind farm. We have grain farms, we have livestock farms, we have wind facilities. It's an industry, okay? They were able to negotiate a set fee for every tower that was an adjacent to a landowner that was outside the project. And it was a one-time fee. That fee at that time was around $50,000. But every year after that, that landowner that was farming, that was ranching, that was living with that impact, also received a payment for the continuing impact. So there are some options. And folks, believe me, Sarah knows this also. NextEra is a $241 billion company. Come on, $24,000 to a fire department, to an ambulance department. Come on, folks, that's not even a rounding error. For them to have gone into Mercer County and picked up their garbage would have taken nothing. But what did they tell Lori's husband? Oh, well, gee whiz, you're not sheetrock, it's just going to deteriorate. Folks, this is our backyard. In Oliver County, and in Morton County, and in Mercer County. Morton County tonight, a group of people are meeting in St. Anthony, dealing with the beginnings of a wind farm, or not wind farm, with a data center, a hyperscale data center. Because they are already dividing them in that community. There's NDAs that have been forced to be signed. There's options to purchase that are being signed.
We need to keep this limited to wins.
Sorry. Okay, limit to win. I think there's options out there. And NextEra with the size of the company they are, should be able to negotiate. It should not be a difficult decision. Thank you.
Thank you. Does anybody on the board have any suggestions for how this is written? Any changes?
Can I just ask if that's the only change?
What's that?
The 1 mile setback?
The 1 mile setback document, yes, it's just changing the setback.
The setback,
Yeah.
Is that setback from all property or just residents?
Is this gonna be from an occupied dwelling?
Of a non-participating.
Yes, non-participating landowner dwelling. I think we should move it to public reading. If nobody has any suggested changes to it.
It just needs to know what to do for next month's meeting.
Yep. I mean, it was written by Dave's recommendation. I mean, he agrees to it. I mean, we have a lot of people in the room that agree to it. I think we should move forward with the 1 mile setback amendment.
We were just told that that would kill the project. Keep that in mind.
They can make waivers. The
Yeah,
individual
I mean-
landowners can make waivers, and it's from non-participating occupied dwellings.
I can't
It's not
imagine,
from
there
everybody.
would be that many boots on the ground to go and meet a few people that are within that mile. I don't think that's excessive.
Hmm? I don't know if public comment is closed or not, but if that's indicative of the level of commitment that the company has to our county, then maybe we're better off if they do go elsewhere. If they're not willing to go through the work of renegotiating for a few landowners who are actually gonna be impacted, that maybe tells us something important.
Well, and I guess I don't know what's actually going on with these companies in the future, but at the last meeting, Anel mentioned that it would affect 7 of them. I mean, that didn't seem like a lot. I mean, if there's a few people within a mile of those 7, that doesn't seem like you would have to go and talk to very many people.
Well, on the same aspect, you move this one. Now you're a mile from this guy. Then this one moves, now you're a mile from this one.
From non-participating.
I understand that, but you move a mile, now you've got a participating one. Now you start all over again. But
well, that's where it comes down to looking at the map and where the right place to put it would be. I mean, can they move it, get a waiver from this guy because this one won't do it? I mean, it's a negotiating process, I would assume. I haven't never gotten approached by a landman for wind turbines, so I don't know how they negotiate that.
Matt?
Yes, sir.
They always have way more land lease than what they use too.
Yeah, I don't think the setback is that big of a change.
I mean, yeah, somebody might be shortchanged a shop tower, but, you know, you gotta remember that they've got more land to work with than what they're really using too, so.
Well, that, and I think it has been brought up by even Dave Berger again and proved that there are times where they go out and say that they're gonna put a wind turbine here, but then they ended up saying, oh, we couldn't, we have to put it over here. Well, they shouldn't have that ability to just be able to move it. They need to plan it more appropriately and negotiate it with, you know, the affected occupied dwellings.
Rick Asser from Hanover. Everything I've heard so far, it sounds to me like a non-participant basically has no rights. That's all I gotta say.
I think most of these non-participants were offered contracts and chose
No.
not to.
Oh,
Most of them.
I got them right in my backyard. I wasn't even asked or spoken to by anyone.
My neighbors that chose not to participate were offered contracts.
Well, I can throw a rock halfway there.
No, you couldn't, Rick. You'd have to have a hell of an arm. Trust me, you don't have enough ground in Hanover to have a tower. Come on, you're stretching.
Order. Order, come on. We need to keep on topic here. Well, I think at this point we're going to close the public comment on this topic. Does the board agree we can move it forward to public comment?
Public hearing.
Yeah, public hearing? Oh, still in the first thought. Do we need a motion to move it?
We've never done a motion for moving it forward in the
Yeah.
process before. The motion itself should be for the wording to recommend to the commissioners, which we cannot do tonight. This would just move it forward in the process
Right.
instead of kicking it another month down the road. So, if the board is okay with it, I will move it down the process so that you can vote on whether or not it happens.
This is all good with our legal, everybody said
Patrick
we're,
has looked at it, I think it was
all-
before you got here, he's looked at it, he said that we need to have reasons once a motion is made, whether to approve or deny, and what, like the why.
Well, I want to make that clear too. Every one of these amendments and ordinances that I have worked up with Dave and input from landowners have all been drawn up, submitted to Jaden, Dave, and Patrick before they land on this table in front of all of us. That's been the process for all of these to get here.
then why last meeting did everything we do get stopped?
Because I wrote a 40-page draft against
I-
data centers.
I understand
and
that.
It was highly restrictive, and
I understand
they
that,
changed the game.
What do you,
Well, everything we done, even their hard work, our hard work, got to the commissioners, and the commissioners stopped everything and it went to legal.
They can't legally
data
do
center
that though.
ordinance went to the state's attorney, not
Yeah.
the data center.
But they were asked to
Talking about
write,
that
they were
right
I know, but they were asked to write ordinances for it, for another,
Data center.
yes.
Yes.
Now we're here again writing ordinances for a wind tower.
This one was
These
written
have been
before
on the
that.
agenda previously. We
Okay.
can't just,
But are we gonna do all this again, and it goes to commissioners, and
I wouldn't assume so. because
we're gonna start back
Dave-
to
Dave-
legal?
still have to go through the proper planning and zoning process. It comes to the board before it even goes to the commissioners for recommendation. We still have to look at it.
I know that,
So-
and the last ordinance stopped, and then they said they'll write an ordinance and bring it back to us. When are we gonna win? I mean,
Don't ask me, I'm not a county
I mean, something's, everybody puts in the hard work,
I have the same questions.
and then it goes down the line, and then this line stops, and then we start a new assembly line. And then here we are again, and everybody's spending their time, and I, believe me, people, your passion, your love for it, I get it. But we're trying to help you too and try to get something moving, set in stone.
Maybe you need to have a conversation with the commissioners on that.
Well, and I think it needs to start there and through the legal. We're not lawyers. We write this ordinance wrong and somebody finds the right paperwork. Are we all gonna be in front of the judge and pay the bill when we get sued?
Well, see, that's the
That's
thing.
the part we're not lawyers, we're
way
writing
these-
legal.
The way these ordinances get drawn up is by copying other ordinances and taking sections from other people's drafts and putting them into ours. So this isn't being
know
just
that.
made up, and then it does go to legal before it gets to us.
I'm not saying that, Matt. What I'm saying is Tioga County writes one, McLean County writes one, these guys write one. That's a whole, that's different areas, different people, different projects. We're trying to compile it all into one, and you find the right person, the right legal. Are we all gonna sit in that room and fight the lawyers too? That's why I'm scared that now what happens to Oliver County, we get sued.
Well, that's why it goes to legal before it gets put in front of us as a draft.
Okay, I just, everything's got stopped.
I have questions about that too, because I had those questions when I was writing and working with Dave on trying to make changes. I had questions about how we do this and how we do that, and it required me to have to go and do research on how ND Century Code dictates what we're allowed to do and what we're not allowed to do. And then it got submitted to Patrick, and now it's here.
I mean, we got a pretty strong tongue lashing that we better be careful, right? Legal when we're not lawyers in the last meeting.
Well, see, you took it differently than I did, because they specifically said that citizens and planning and zoning should not be expected to write policy.
Right.
Right, not expected to. But if we can work with consultants or other counties' ordinances and put something together for a presentation, that's not writing policy. That's taking accumulative data and putting it together as a presentation.
May I say something? I had talked to Vlad Erickson. He's the state's attorney up in.
I'm familiar with him, yep.
And what they do, when they write an ordinance, they get the county commissioners, the planning and zoning board into the same room with the state's attorney. And from what he told me, the state's attorney runs the meeting and they put their ordinance together with that group of people. That way, everything is done correctly and you have a legal opinion. Where I think that's a good recommendation. What you guys do is up to you, but that is the way it's done up there. And from what I understand, he's a very knowledgeable person in that aspect, is writing these ordinances.
Thank you. Unfortunately, Oliver County is structured a little bit differently, and the county commission back in the day created the planning and zoning board, and that's how prior commissioners decided they wanted this to.
I'm not saying,
Nope,
you
yep.
know, you guys could approach somebody and get a change. I
Yep.
mean, that's up to you all as lawyers.
So again, I would like to end public comment on it and see if we can move this forward so that we can get on to the next item.
Are you looking for a motion?
Well, do we need to have a motion to send
Are
it?
we moving it to a public hearing, or are we not?
Right.
I just need
We
to
just-
know.
we just need
And
to
which
agree.
one?
I would say
The
yes.
cap or the
Yes,
1
we
mile
are moving
setback?
it.
Because if the cap is out of the picture, we're dropping it.
Yep.
It needs to-
We're gonna move the 1 mile setback forward to,
Okay.
You have agreement of your committee though? Or are you making a decision?
she said she agreed. I mean,
I won't
we don't get to vote on it, so I mean, it's not a voting
Well-
issue.
To make it easier, shall you call for a motion? Just so it's on the record.
Yeah.
I'm just asking.
Can I get a motion to move this to public reading?
I would move to schedule that public hearing for the next meeting for the 1 mile setback.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Can we do a roll call, please?
Bill?
No.
Cassie?
Yes.
Gary?
Yes.
Jody?
No.
Troy?
No.
Linda?
Yes.
Motion carried. Moving into public comment.
Hearing.
Yeah. Next is McLean County Ordinance Edition, public hearing and meeting language.
This has been discussed for the last year.
Yep.
This language has been brought to you. This is from McLean County Ordinance, talking about procedures to hold a meeting, public hearing with the commission. I believe McLean County, as Greg alluded to, does do joint with their planning and zoning when they do these, so that everybody hears the same information all at one time. This has been talked about. The commission has talked about adding this. Dave Berger has looked at it. Brad Erickson wrote this So it's been written by an attorney. Others have recommended that Oliver County looks at adopting this language. The first copy is what McLean County currently has, this first portion here. The second page, I copied the language. Excuse me. I spoke to Patrick today and asked him, should this move forward, how it could be adopted. Would it need to be added into each of the ordinances, the wind, the solar, the battery, direct air capture, all the things, or can it be added into the administrative portion of the ordinance? And then specify what it is for. He said that he thinks it can be put within the administrative portion, provided that each of the various ordinances cite to the administrative language. At this point, this language has been put in front of you guys probably for the last year, and we haven't really done anything with it. Dave has said it would be a good idea. He's talked about it, about having these meetings prior to them coming to the county. Or I'm bringing it again because it's been ongoing. So at this point, I need to know. I mean, we're continuing to talk about these and then we don't do anything and then it goes to the next meeting and the next meeting and we need to start doing something.
Any comments from the board? I think this was before Gary was on the board the last time we had this. So it might be new to him.
We've talked about it on and off. I've brought it, like I said, I brought it to a lot of meetings, so.
So are we still only looking to adopt the public hearing required part with,
After that particular provision goes into their wind and solar ordinances, we already have wind and solar ordinances.
Right.
We don't, I mean,
but there
that
was
particular
that,
portion.
there was that portion about being able to protect certain areas.
That's in the public hearing, that's
Okay.
in that entire paragraph there. The preliminary public hearing by the county commissioners within 60 days of receiving a proposed project map unless good cause is shown to extend that time. It's to review the site locations, needs of the operation, company employees. The county may create avoidance zones. That's why it's a public hearing. If there's issues with the location, before things are like I said, this has been brought to you guys a lot. Dave Berger has talked about it. Rob has looked at it. I put it in front of all three of the commissioners, so.
So are we needing a
I guess
motion
we
to?
would- We
put
would
this
have
into-
to also do a public hearing, and anything tonight is not up for adoption. We can't. It's just discussion and either moving forward or not.
I think that also should be scheduled for a public hearing.
You guys opening this up to public comment as well?
What does the board think, yeah? Sure.
So, my name's Eric Edison. I'm an attorney with the Crowley Fleck Law Firm in Bismarck. I represent, different companies doing different land use type stuff. And deal a lot with property rights and zoning, or real property related issues and zoning related stuff. I'm here tonight on behalf of NextEra to talk about this issue specifically. I know you've mentioned some attorneys have looked at this and offered different comments, and you can talk to 5 different attorneys and you might get 5 different opinions on an issue. So, that's why we have the courts and whatnot to And in fact, the Supreme Court doesn't often agree on anything fully either. So this is just kind of my thoughts on this issue. I think it's problematic from a process standpoint in a lot of ways. You know, you've heard some talk about the Red Butte project and how long that's been under development, you know, and it's still not before the county. You know, a lot of work goes into these projects. And to me, it seems like it's a zoning action without the process. You guys already have a process for adopting, you know, different ordinances to consider, you know, different ordinances to deal with these projects. You're going through that process now. Obviously, a lot of considerations, and it can be difficult. But this essentially, you know, creates a way to just say, oh, you put a project here? Well, no, you can't do that. For whatever reason. And you know, you still have a lot of considerations you can rely on when evaluating a project and whether or not to grant a CUP, whether or not to grant a CUP with conditions. You know, this kind of overlaps on powers you already have. So for example, you know, we're talking about avoidance and exclusion areas. You know, the North Dakota Public Service Commission has a lot of exclusion and avoidance areas that are codified in their administrative rules or in statutes. You know, so those are on the front end of the development process. So if you're developing a project, you say, oh, I look at what the rules are. Okay, that's where I need to do. Maybe this area is not so good because it has these issues, and you know, this other area over here looks better. So okay, I'm going to start developing over here. You know, and that's the problem with this. It's kind of changing the development rules at a late stage in the game, you know, as opposed to, you know, if you have your ordinances, which you recently developed, some for wind, you know, that's what a developer would look to and say, do I fit in with this county? Where do I fit in with this county? I look at these ordinances and see, okay, here's what I need to comply with, you know. So this kind of creating this avoidance area in the face of the CUP is, you know, kind of inconsistent with your own CUP process, where you look at this in your ordinance adoption process, you know, because it does kind of, it's that right at that late stage in the game. So, you know, it's not really what would be referred to as like spot zoning, but I think it still kind of shares some of the problematic characteristics of spot zoning. Because it's kind of targeting one area, one specific project, one type of development. You know, so like I said, you do have a current CUP process. You can attach conditions to a CUP before you grant it to address some of these location and project specific issues that might come up through a public hearing type process. You know, and there is a public hearing process for a CUP application. So, you know, I know there's some comments in here about constituent support. How do you even evaluate that? You know, are you going to have every single person in the county come in and talk about it? You know, I think one indicator of constituent support is people signed up for a project. You know, if you have enough people signed up to put a project together, then obviously there's a decent amount of constituent support in that area to have that there. You know, some other things, you know, if we're looking at the parcel by parcel basis, you know, I'm not sure how broad you're planning to apply this kind of avoidance area thing. But, you know, at least with wind energy stuff, if you don't want wind infrastructure on your project, then you can create your own avoidance area on your parcel by not signing the easement. So, you know, I think...
But if you sign the easement, you're still taking the wind.
I mean, sometimes I wish it was a little less windy in my neighborhood in the northeast part of Bismarck, but anyways, I mean, I think, you know, the goals of this can be accomplished through the CUP process and just your zoning rules. To me, this seems like, you know, it seems like it makes sense on paper, but maybe the process, you know, is problematic in my opinion, at least. You know, I know Mercer County or McLean County's adopted this. That doesn't mean it's bulletproof or, you know, not problematic from a legal perspective. I'm not aware that it's been challenged or not aware that it's actually been used by McLean County in the face of the development project either. So thank you for your time and allowing me to give some thoughts on this.
Thank you. So do we want to move this forward?
This has been looked at by our state's attorney, and it was written by the McLean County State's Attorney, so lawyers' eyes have been on it if there's concerns about that. This has been something that's been talked about and kind of pushed for a while.
I guess.
I agree.
Give a few thoughts.
Open the public hearing, right?
Well, are we technically for discussion?
We opened everything else for discussion.
Yeah,
I mean, we're,
You just
You
got
opened
final
it.
comment.
yeah, we want,
I know, we just need to try to stick to limiting how much, because our new bylaws, you know, we kind
Yeah,
of
I
settled
just
on
think-
3 minutes apiece
Yeah.
and trying to be fair.
Well, I think he went much longer.
Yep,
than
yep.
3 minutes. I think I just want to remind you that government is to serve the people. Okay? And you're doing a good job. Okay? I'm not throwing stones, but the process is the process for a reason. And the trouble we go through, and I think if you may have to read this in layman's terms, but my understanding of what you're presenting is you need to get feelers out so you don't get backlash every time. Is that what I'm?
Well, you need to have a public feeler, you need to have a
Yes,
forum,
ahead of
kind of
time,
like Applied
so
had
so
for,
that you're not getting these,
right,
this
yep,
public backlash all the
Yep.
time. Is that correct? I mean, I understand that from your position as the board. I think it's a good thing if it represents all the people equally.
the board agree?
Do we need a motion?
Do we need a motion?
Did it for the last one, you might as well.
Technically don't, because it's just a discussion, but we can do one. Can you get a second? Would somebody do a motion, I get a second?
I would move to set this for a public hearing at our next meeting.
Can I get a second?
I'll second.
All in favor, or do we do a roll call again?
Now, we were doing a public hearing on what?
On the amendment or the addition of the wording that Lad Erickson wrote up
Requiring public.
that requires public hearings to be conducted before any major project, so like Applied. They rented out the Civic Center and they had a forum to let everybody know, anybody that wanted to come. That will be a requirement.
It's prior to permitting. It's-
Right.
It's a hearing prior to them even coming to get a permit.
Make sense?
Yep, I understand.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right.
Should do a roll call? Bill?
Aye.
Cassie?
Yes.
Gary?
Yes.
Jody?
No.
Troy?
can I ask a question to this before I make a decision?
Sure.
With this wrote or written the way it is, what is considered a major project? What's considered a minor project? What's the criteria to have to put it?
Language is
Yeah,
for-
it's gonna fall under
particular-
wind energy, solar, battery, direct air, CO2, and data centers, cryptocurrency mining facilities. And any other industrial projects that fall under county zoning purview, not preempted by state authorities.
So transmission projects, obviously the pipelines, that kind of stuff we can't use.
So,
And obviously this, I mean, if there's language concerns, we give it to the state's attorney. This is just as a public hearing for recommendations to the commissioners. Between that and them,
so my question then, Mid-Dakota Power wants to put another unit up. Does that fall under this ordinance, or was it, there's no hearing? It just moves forward?
You would need to do a public.
well,
It's not even listed in here though.
It says other industrial projects that fall under county zoning. The industrial portion of our zoning ordinance has a list of all the industrial.
I think it should be attached to this before.
Well, we can absolutely do that.
You know.
It's not an issue.
I mean, and the reason I'm saying it is, it leaves the door open pretty vague.
So we move it to the next step with the addition of what you're requesting.
I think it needs to be a lot more clarified.
I'll pull everything that we have and add that to the list.
Okay. So I'd like to make an amendment to the motion that all literature is added to this that falls under what's considered a large or small project in order to go to public hearing.
Need a second on that amendment?
Could you say that again?
I said I'd like to make an amendment to the motion that to define what is considered a large or a small project and what falls under provisions to a public hearing before it goes to public hearing. I mean, large project, I mean, any other industrial project that fall under county zoning purview, well,
a large project and industrial project don't necessarily mean the same thing.
Okay, this is under, we just said under large project. But
so it'd be projects that fall under the industrial portion of the industrial ordinance.
Okay, so I guess my train of thought is here is we move a slaughter plant in, we got a processing plant. Is that considered part of this?
Is it industrial or is it commercial?
Well, that's what I'm asking.
Well, don't those now fall under commercial operations?
Just
right.
Yes, they do.
Different. I just want it so that everybody's on the same page here to follow what follows under what.
Further clarification.
Yes. Thank you.
Yes.
The words I was looking for.
You're welcome.
Bring a list.
Thank you.
So you're saying yes to move
yes
forward
vote or
with
no
that?
Well, at that point, you're gonna have someone have to second what I amended.
Second the amended motion.
Thank you.
We'll start over. Bill?
Now, is this for the amendment that Troy is suggesting?
Yes.
Yes.
For the clarification on the top portion.
Who did the
Kathy?
second?
I did.
You did? Okay.
Kathy?
Yes.
Gary?
Yes.
Jody?
No.
Troy?
Yes.
Linda?
Yes.
Motion carried.
So now do we have to vote on,
The actual motion, because that was.
And normally we don't vote on these. Normally we just have the discussion moving forward, but we're voting for clarification. All this stuff has to go in the newspaper for 2 weeks. It's a legal process.
there's a lot of this stuff, like the other, the amendments for a valid reason. Who determines if it's a valid reason?
What do you mean? Which?
Well, we could deny something for a valid reason. That's come up several times in
You
community.
have to come up with the reasons, and then I guess at that point, if
It'd be
somebody
up to the
challenges
commission.
it, then it's not
The
up to
commission
us.
decides if it's
Well, it's
valid or
gonna
not.
come
We'll
to
give
us and then to the
recommendations.
commission.
Okay.
Next, we have data center cryptocurrency mining facilities updates.
I am purely providing an update because we do not and are not working on the ordinances.
No.
That is the state's attorney.
Right.
Any public comment towards the data center ordinance, please send to the state's attorney at c33sa@nd.gov. All comments can be sent there. He will review them. The deadline is April 8th at 5 p.m. to send those comments, suggestions, concerns regarding the data center ordinance. And then once that is complete, he will send that out. The process for planning and zoning, in which there will be a public hearing, reading, and then going to the commissioners, will begin.
They have not given you an update on progress.
I have not heard anything yet. He told me he was going to take public comment after the commission meeting for up until his deadline, and then he'll review it all and go from there.
Can you repeat that email a little
Yes,
louder so
yes.
everybody can hear?
The email to send public comment suggestions to, and I will post this on the website and on Facebook, is c33sa@nd.gov. And the comments can come from anybody.
And what was the deadline?
April 8th at 5 p.m.
Next, reschedule direct air capture CO2 ordinance hearing.
So, as you are aware,
Didn't make it in the
originally we
paper.
were supposed to have the public hearing and first reading on the CO2 ordinance tonight. The newspaper published the first required publication and they missed the second one for whatever reason, I don't know. I got a hold of them and asked them what happened. Here we are. By law, we cannot hold this hearing because it has to be 2 consecutive weeks. Without that, we can't do it. So, we will need to do this one at next month's meeting if you're good with moving forward with it.
Yeah.
If the newspaper remembers to print it this time.
Sorry.
Other business, permit fee adjustment.
Last month, we brought up looking at the current permit fee schedule and adjusting it. I think it was last fall, it was talked about changing it from $200 or 1/10 of the cost of the project, whichever is greater, plus a $1 for every acre over 10 acres. B&I came to, excuse me, the county for clarification on the permit due to the cost of the project and pointed out that other counties that have mining do a base, like a per acreage cost plus a flat fee. So on the second page, we have coal mining and excavation pulled out of industrial at a $3,000 plus $5 for every acre over 10 acres. I believe Greg Kuchar from B&I last month said that B&I was okay with it. Randall is giving me the thumbs up that B&I is okay with that fee. That part, I guess we would pull out of just industrial. As I was going through this and looking at what other counties had for permit fees, several of them break things down based on the type of project. Obviously, this can be added to, but these are current projects that have been talked about or are in the county. The 3% fee originally was just 3%. In talking with Dave Berger, he said, what if we do up to 500,000, so that way there's a cap on how much they have to pay instead of 3% of a multi-billion-dollar project, and then we're talking a lot of money. There is an admin fee of $1,000 that we kind of talked about, because regardless of if a permit gets approved or denied, the time spent to do a public hearing, it does cost the county money, and that is non-refundable, but everything else would be. And then there's a breakdown. This is based on what Emmons County has done, excuse me, where they pay 25% within 30 days of commissioner approval, 50% within 30 days of PSC approval, if they have to go to the PSC, and then the remaining balance due no later than 30 days prior to construction. Another couple of counties, Montreal County in particular, also adds to that a line of credit, or I guess it could be a bond that they have to put forward equal to the reclamation cost, and then updated annually, obviously, because there could be inflation as far as reclamation costs go. So down the line, I just broke it down by wind, solar, data center, battery storage, CO2, direct air capture, and then there is an industrial other uses listed in the ordinance. We can obviously look at that and change that, but if we need to break it down by every use listed in there, I don't care, that's fine, I'll just add it to the spreadsheet, but this is just a draft, an idea. I'm looking for thoughts on this. You know, what we had before the current fee schedule was pretty minimal. So we've been looking at ways to kind of look at that as far as projects coming in. So now it's in your hands, I guess.
Now these schedules, they come from 3-4 different
I
searches,
looked
right?
at, well, last month I provided you with a stack of counties that I
Looked
was
into.
provided or found, based on Jody asking for all of them. Not all counties have zoning, not all of them had readily available permit fees, so I found what I could. I think it was roughly 20 plus.
I think so.
So just kind of looking at it, obviously the 3% was something that Dave had thrown out late last year and we talked about, and it's been something that we've talked about and didn't do anything with, so, again, here we are talking about it. Can we discuss and figure that part out, for a recommendation to the county commissioners?
Well, with all the information and the data that you pulled on it, I mean, at least we're comparable.
There's some counties who do not do a percentage cost. They do like a flat fee per the type, like Montreal County has a wind is 25,000. They're all 25,000 plus they do this line of credit. Some of them do a percentage, some of them do a smaller dollar amount. It just depends on where they're located and probably what their tax base is also, as far as what their revenue is that's brought in.
I'm sure they're.
I have a question that came up. Somebody called me about the fees. And why are we wanting to do a percentage for conditional use and for building? Should we do just a flat fee for conditional use and then do a percentage for the total cost once they get the building permit?
Well, this was the conditional use, the 3%, that was a request by Dave. For
I know.
conditional use. So if the building, if we do conditional use at a percentage and the building at a flat fee, I don't see why we couldn't do that.
No, I was saying do
I know.
a conditional, because with the conditional use, it's just a matter of putting ag to industrial. That's all we do. The real money comes when they actually build the project.
Well, that's,
So if we can
I
do a
guess,
flat fee,
So they were
board
asking,
and then the
and
commissioners.
do a flat fee.
because they have no, there's nothing to
That's-
assess, right?
Well, in the conditional use, the reason when speaking with this person, they're like, well, if the conditional use is refundable, why not do a flat fee that's not refundable for the conditional use, like 50 grand or whatever, and then get them with the, but then do, when they do the building permit, actually, then you do the percentage plus. I'm just relaying a question that I got.
I get what she's saying.
That's
I
not
s-
refundable.
I see their point.
Well, yeah,
'Cause he's like,
for
why are we
instance,
paying
we
$400,000?
did a project where we just rebuilt the gas station and the building permit in Dunn County was $14,000.
Mm-hmm.
So
But
I
like
I
it's-
can understand that.
There's,
Like the conditional use has a percentage and the building permit has a percentage, so.
And that,
Oh, does
I
it?
mean, that's why we're kind of looking at this to review, because some are a flat fee and the industrial is a percentage. Then we went from, not having a turbine, per turbine broken down to now we have it broken down. I guess this is just something that was brought up. Again, to you guys for discussion, and if the commissioners want it one way and you guys recommend a different way, they can change it too. I mean, that's up to them.
Mhm.
Ultimate decision is up to them, but your reasoning behind how you would change it, that way I can explain this is why you would.
Well, the guy I talked to, it just made sense.
Oh, it
It was
does.
like, if we do a refundable conditional use fee, why not make it non-refundable across the board and then?
Just a flat rate.
Just a flat rate.
yeah, I mean, you have nothing assessed for a tax value
Mm-mm.
and a
And it's
conditional
just a
use.
matter of transferring it from ag to commercial or industrial, whatever, so. That was my 2 cents. I told him I would tell you guys.
I see
Well,
their,
the
I see
fees
their
are
point.
designed to cover the time and
Right,
everything to go through all the
right.
paperwork. And some of these, they come in with, a 900-page binder, and then you got another person comes in with 2 pages off of Google. And it's like,
Right.
How long does it take to go through 900 pages in a binder?
That's why, you know, when I was talking and just mentioning that, just do a higher, you know, not 10,000, not, you know, just do a good number of, or a decent number for the conditional use, and then do the percentage of the cost of the building, or with the project for the building permit.
Well, like, you know, you go to conditional use data center, the line there, you know, 3% total, cost of construction up to 500,000 plus the $1,000 admin fee. Shut it at the admin fee.
Well, I mean, and I mean, yeah, you could just put the conditional uses.
As an
just
admin fee, right?
Well, I wouldn't put it as an admin fee per se. I would just put it at, I mean, my thought was do like a flat rate, like I said, like 50,000. Just do flat rate. That includes admin fee, every fee that we have, also taking the time, or I mean, putting it from one use to another use, because that's all a conditional use permit does.
Well, it's
Well,
also,
not all,
It's
but-
also the permit where we can tell them you have to do this.
Right, well, I know,
Yeah.
I know, but I'm saying in general, that's what but the building permit, that's where you're getting into the cost of the project and everything, and that's where that big fee, or that percentage should lie. But we had a conversation, and I told him I would just bring it up for you. So, it made sense.
It does make sense.
It does.
Because there's no taxable value.
You pay 400,000 for a conditional, and then turn around and pay 400,000 for. Yeah.
For the building.
So basically, you want to switch them and do a flat fee, and then move that up there. I was just trying to make sure all of the costs of the time it took to get it, all of the administrative side of it covered. So
And just so you
however
guys
that
know,
works.
we were when looking at this, it would just be like straight across industrial. It wouldn't be data center this.
Right,
da, da, da.
right, yep.
It would just
Just
be
an X amount conditional
for
use
the
permit fee,
conditional use permit.
just to get your conditional use.
Yeah, and then the rest could be whatever.
I guess if building gets broken down by, I mean, because we
Right.
already have wind turbines as a separate line, I guess, if we have to
But we
break
can
that
break down the other ones.
The building permits, I guess that's up to the board.
That, yeah,
Like,
that's up to you.
like, on here, if you notice, a lot of these have something about acreage under the conditional use, because, you know, a house is only taking roughly 2 acres from
Correct.
ag to residential. Commercial or industrial is taking a larger acreage out. And I think previously, it was before I was here, it was a flat dollar amount plus X amount per acre for every acre over a certain amount. So again, this is just a recommendation for you guys to look over. We can change it to whatever the board would like to recommend to the county commissioners, and we don't need to decide necessarily tonight, but we should not also continue to
push it
off, because this has been brought up a couple of times.
It looks
So-
better. I mean, now that we've broken down, I would say, in my opinion, it looks better.
Should we
but-
move it forward with those adjustments?
I would like to wait.
Yeah, that's
Make
fine.
the adjustments for the next meeting and look it over, see what it
Yep.
looks like. Okay, I can do that. And then I guess see if there's further input in regards to
how much.
That's, say the next, because every one of them in here's got 1,000 admin fee, 1,000 admin fee, 1,000 admin fee.
It's the same. It's the same thing carried down.
Right.
It just got broken down by wind, solar, data, you know, whatever. It
Do-
just,
I know, but what I'm asking is, do we need to get a price figured out to add to this new spreadsheet?
a flat fee price.
A flat fee price right now that we want to add to our next spreadsheet? You know, is it 1,000, 5,000, 10,000? I mean, do we need a figure?
Leave it blank and we can discuss it next time.
Just have an idea for next meeting, what
Okay.
you guys think is negotiable or.
Yeah, I guess like I
feasible.
said, Montreal County has a $25,000 flat fee. There's other counties that have other types of flat fees. So I guess in the packet that you guys got at your last meeting, you can look at those and I guess throw some suggestions out there. If you would like to email me separately, your thoughts on it, and I'll compile that information, we can certainly do that. Just don't email everybody.
Yeah, we could look at all of them, get an average of where they're at, and high, low, throw the high, low out, and average in.
Like I said,
I
we don't
think-
have to call it an admin fee, just a fee.
Yeah, I was just looking at the way it's written now, because every one of them has a fee added to it at the back.
The admin fee was brought up for a couple of reasons. It was talked about, I think Austin from Flat Rock brought it up last year or a year ago or whenever it was, saying that some counties require them, they pay an admin fee up front and then the rest of it they pay later. Because in the event that they get denied, you know,
I think Mr.
we didn't take a whole big check from them and then we have to give some back or all back or whatever, which
Makes sense.
at the time, the commissioners weren't agreeable to that. And now we're talking different projects, different permit fees, different things. This came up again, and then when Dave brought up the 3%, I talked to the Emmons County auditor, and she broke it down how they do it, and she said they do have an admin fee. So some do and some don't, whether we do or we do not, you know, it's entirely, does it have to be plus the permit fee, or does it, the $1,000 just comes out of the permit fee and we keep 1,000 and then, you know, that's
No.
something to, I guess, further discuss. But yeah, I would say if you want to throw some suggestions at me, that would be fine, and you can kind of figure it out next meeting, and I'll compile and again, look at your previous meeting packets, please.
So you want a motion to table this, or are we just gonna?
No, you
hold
don't
it for
have to
now?
do anything.
Okay,
We'll just put it on.
There
the
was nothing
agenda.
to
Okay.
really, I guess, vote on tonight.
okay.
so it's-
I just don't know if we need to table it or not.
I would have a comment or a question, I guess. This is only pertaining to industrial?
No.
Well, at this point.
I mean, I'm just asking, like, if I build a shop out of it, is that?
Yeah, so
There's
at this
different
point, yes, that's the stuff that we're currently looking at is industrial type projects because, we adjusted, I think it was last year or the year before, we adjusted the residential and broke it down. And then we've actually made several adjustments in the last 3 or 4 years, so at this point now we're just looking at the industrial. But,
If they've all changed.
The residential really hasn't.
That's the commission.
Oh,
Wrong ones. Sorry.
oops.
My only thoughts is just my fairness barometer just says if it's a small company versus a big company, I think it should be percentage-wise. It still can be a flat fee that's not refundable of the basic scope of the project, but I just, you know, if you're on the small end of the
It's usually a
industrial-
commercial. The commercial has, what is it?
I'm just thinking $1 billion versus $20 billion project. I mean, the
Well,
20 billion.
them are both gonna be high ones.
What?
So them are both gonna be high ones.
Right, I agree, but if it's a flat rate, it is to the disadvantage of the smaller company, is all I'm saying.
Well, that's why they're talking about changing the conditional use to the flat fee and then the building permit, because the conditional use doesn't have a project dollar amount on it. The building permit does. So bigger the project, more the cost.
I just want to clear, I mean, so we're involved, I mean, I.
Oh,
just
yeah,
wanna
for sure.
understand.
Yep. Comprehensive plan update discussion?
So if you're not aware, the county comprehensive plan was last written in 1976. In the last year, it was talked about updating. So there has been a steering committee working with SRF Consulting to update the comprehensive plan. We have reached our, I guess, end goal. And they would like us to set a public hearing date, first with planning and zoning, and then we move to the county commissioners for the public to come in, review it, make comments. It will be made available for everybody to look at.
prior to and during the meeting. At this point, they talked about doing it during our April meeting, but obviously things are kind of stacking up as far as that goes. I will talk to them to see if we can, if you're okay with it, moving it to our May meeting or potentially having a separate special meeting for this specific purpose. I guess that's if.
Might need a separate meeting.
I mean, just
I don't know.
at everything
Might take
that
quite some
continues
time.
to get discussed at our planning and zoning meetings, adding this onto it as well as the other.
It's
I
gonna
mean,
be a
it's
lot.
just, this comprehensive plan is quite a big deal. It would be nice to have public input and only on that for the meeting so that we can.
push it to June?
Can we push it to June? I'd have to ask them.
It'd be better to
We're
have
kind of
maybe
on
a
timeline
special
with that.
meeting.
election.
Can we maybe have a special meeting that's just for the comprehensive plan?
That's what I'm saying, yeah.
That's what I think we need to do.
I guess as far as that goes, yes, our office does run the election and we've got timelines on there, but
We're extended right now.
I can speak with SRF and then we can discuss. If nothing else, we have a very short special meeting to then plan to set a public hearing, just to get that taken care of. I will speak with them, because the intent was, yes, potentially just doing it at next month's meeting. Obviously, not an option now.
Right. I think June would be best, in Oliver County being a agricultural county. April's
farming
very
also.
busy.
Yes.
May is very busy. June is busy, but starting to wind down just a little bit.
Till you start haying, right?
Well, I mean, there's sprayers and haying, and we're busy all the time, but we're not calving and we're not planting.
Yep.
They're spraying.
And
June
yes,
would be best.
I will reach out to them. I will send them an email tonight before I leave, and I will relay information to the board, and then we will get that figured out.
It's not like we don't have a comprehensive plan right now. We just
No,
have
we
it
do
outdated.
have a comprehensive plan in place. It is still active. It's not like it's just sitting there, we can't use it. It's just that we do need to
move this along.
Finish our work with SRF also.
Yeah.
Because they don't like to be left hanging in the wind either, so.
Makes sense. Good.
Okay, I will reach out to them and we'll go from there.
Meeting adjourned.
Thank you.